Disgraced real estate moguls, the Alexander brothers, Orrin Tall and Alone Alexander, were in court today, as was I, for the start of their federal trafficking case. I am not going to say the correct verbiage because I don't want YouTube to ban me here, but it was a very intense day, and just trigger warning because a lot of these allegations are very, very disturbing. So these three brothers have been accused on a slew of different charges related to trafficking, conspiracy to traffic, exploitation of a minor, trafficking of a minor, and aggravated SA on a cruise ship. And the government, who or they are led by AUSA Madison Smizer. She was also one of the lead prosecutors on the Diddy case. I felt like I was having deja vu because I'm looking at Madison Smizer, and then I'm looking at Orrin Alexander's attorney, who is Tenny Garagos, and Mark Agnifilo, who represented Diddy. So I'm just like, wait, this is crazy. So we've got Smizer from Diddy, we've got Agnifilo and Garagos from Diddy, and they are back for the Alexander brothers. The three brothers obviously have their own sets of attorneys. So there were three sets of defense attorneys in the room, and Tall Alexander is using Deanna Paul. She gave the opening statement for the defense, as well as Tenny Garagos, who was representing Orrin Alexander. And Alone Alexander is using a defense attorney named Howard Srebnick, who actually waived his opening statement and said he was going to reserve it for when the defense presents their case in chief. So I think that the crux of this, and and I'll start with the prosecution, with Madison Smizer, who gave her opening statement. She basically is alleging that, again, these three brothers conspired for over a decade to traffic these women, and there are different charges relating to this trafficking, as I mentioned, but she goes into specifics. She said that a lot of these women were lured by the brothers, with promises of parties and celebrity statuses, but also she claims they were plied with drugs. And I think this is really important here because the defense is saying that, you're going to hear about all of these allegations, and they're going to be horrible and they're going to be disturbing, but they don't meet the elements of trafficking, which is force, fraud, or coercion. The defense is saying a lot of these women bought their flights to the Hamptons. They went there themselves. They were promised a good time and a party, but that's just what people do in New York City in their 20s. They party, they go to the Hamptons, they go to share houses, whatever. I think the big thing here for the government or the prosecution is the drugging aspect of it, because that could count towards the coercion. And you only need to meet one of those elements for trafficking: force, fraud, or coercion. So again, the defense is saying, well, you are not going to find any evidence that the brothers conspired to drug these women in order to get them to perform, sexual acts. You're just not going to find that. She said, you're also not going to find that they were I believe this is Tenny Garagos who said that. You're not going to find that they're these crazy chemists who are concocting these date rape drugs or, whatever. Gosh, this is a tough video to do for YouTube, but you're not going to find that these guys are scientists and chemists that know how to, make this drug work this way. And they know the exact timing of when this is going to happen to this woman if she takes this. And both the government and the defense brought up that they're going to have experts who will testify about certain drugs and what happens to your body if you take them and XYZ. So Madison Smizer, she brought up some very specific and disturbing allegations involving a 17-year-old girl, which in New York, the age of consent is 17, although this is a minor. But also keep in mind that these charges that pertain to a minor, like the exploitation, it's not a standalone grape charge or a statutory grape charge. So the exploitation aspect of this comes from the fact that Orrin took a video, and this video apparently is going to be played for the jurors. And this seemed to be a big piece of evidence for the government, this video. And Smizer said it's going to show this victim kind of laying there with another man touching her, and then Orrin comes and starts to engage with her, and she looks like a dead fish type of thing. And then meanwhile, you've got the defense saying, well, she took drugs willingly, like something like MDMA, to party. She also did this drug, and she was alert because she did this drug, and therefore, this is not what you guys think it is on this video. And then they said that the exploitation aspect of the whole video is incorrect because it was about the act they were doing. It wasn't about him distributing this video to exploit her. Again, this is coming from the defense. And then the government alleged 2 other specific incidents that involved, another one of the brothers grabbing a woman as she was about to leave his Hamptons house and then forcing himself on her. And then there was an alleged assault on a cruise ship. And yeah, it was graphic, but Smizer said that the evidence we're going to see is we're going to hear testimony from these witnesses. And I think there's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be something like 24, although not all 24 are included in the indictment. I'm not sure how many accusers are in the indictment, but I actually thought about this because Harvey Weinstein actually was acquitted because in his New York trial, the judge let in, I guess, unverified witness claims that said Harvey assaulted them. And when I say unverified, I mean unverified by law enforcement or by the court, whatever. Basically, his conviction got overturned, his guilty conviction, and he got a retrial because of this. And they had argued you can just let anyone in off the street and say, oh, this guy assaulted me, and it's unfounded. So I'm not sure because I wasn't in court for a lot of the admission or the, I guess, yeah, the admission of these witnesses or that are going to testify. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. But Smizer did say there's going to be a lot of witnesses that we're going to hear from. She said we're going to see emails, we're going to see text messages, and we're going to hear from these experts. And meanwhile, the defense really is hammering hard on the fact that, the government is not going to meet their burden, that they have to meet a very high burden of proof here to say, again, that these women were forced, is through force, fraud, or coercion that they were lured to engage in these commercial acts. And basically, they said, yeah, I think it was Deanna Paul who said, this isn't the asshole awards. If it was, these guys would win. And Tani Garagos is just like, yeah, this is about money, opportunity. And she's saying, the brothers took an opportunity to sleep with these women, and the women took an opportunity to come at them and sue them civilly when they heard one claim. And then, and she said that there are quite a few civil suits in the works, and that's where this came from, or a lot of these allegations came from. And she also said that Tani Garagos said that a lot of these accusations have been shaped with the media narrative in the last year. She said, these accusations have changed a lot from a lot of these witnesses. She's telling the jury this, and she said, you're going to see that stories have changed. Timelines have changed, and it doesn't make sense because your memory doesn't get better over time. And she even said that the 17-year-old girl from that one video, she said that she doesn't even really want to testify. The government found her, that this girl is trying to put her old life behind her, but the government told her she was a victim and she's, got to be a part of this type of thing. So, time will tell. It will 100% tell, and the evidence will show. But I think that it's, I would say with the drugging, without seeing any of the evidence really so far, that this could be a stronger case for the government than Diddy because of the drugs, if they can prove that these women were coerced with drugs. That I think will be the nail in the coffin for these guys. If if they can prove that truly, because I think it's going to be tough to prove that they were coerced or lured in any other way so far. Again, I always, if I see evidence, I will absolutely say, oh, I was wrong. That shows. And the first victim that took the stand, she had basically alleged that she was raped by, I think it was Orrin, who she said she felt woozy after getting a drink from him after watching like a NBA playoffs game at Zac Efron's house, and that she woke up and he was standing over her, and she said no, and he was like, oh well, you already have. And then he did it again apparently. But the defense she didn't get crossed yet, but the defense brought this up in their opening statement, saying this victim, she left his apartment at 5 a.m. and the first call she made was to her boyfriend. And because she hadn't been in touch with her boyfriend, and she told him that she got drugged, and he said, go take a drug test or whatever like that, or whatever it was. And that she refused because she knew, this is the defense. She refused because she knew what really happened. So, yeah. So that is a lot of details, but anyway, I plan to pop into this trial, once or twice a week for sure, just to keep everybody updated on it. But it's definitely trigger warning. And the brothers, their demeanor it was weird. They didn't seem worried. Their parents didn't seem worried either. Their parents were there, very stone-faced. I believe one of their wives were there too. I'm not sure which one. But I saw Orrin looking back at his mom a lot, but overall, nobody seemed stressed or worried. And when these allegations were being talked about, I would kind of look over at his mom. And again, she just had no expression. And I'm like, I cannot imagine if these were my 3 sons. I mean, can you imagine? But anyway, guys, all right. Thanks for listening. I will be back tomorrow with another daily scandals and crime news podcast for Los Angeles Magazine. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.